Mm. Mm. Okay. Hello. So we are going to solve the Scrabble problem first. In the game of Scrabble, players create words to score points, and the number of points is the sum of the point values of each letter in the word. Okay, so each letter has a score, and we have to follow the demo here. So the first player is giving the input of the word, and the second one is doing the same thing. We are not taking into account the question mark or exclamation mark. Do we need any advice? Maybe later on. You will see. Okay, so let's go to the VS Code. I think we need to increase the font size. We have folders here. And we need to create a new one called Scrabble. Let's make it. Let's go there and create new file called Scrabble.c. We are going to write it in C. Okay, so first of all, we want to include cs50.h That's the really handy library that the CS50 staff wrote for us. And the next one would be standard IO. And let's start with our main function. Do we want to any input arguments? I don't think so. We don't want to give any input arguments, so we can mark it as a void. No problem. Oh, that's not the style that they are prefer. Let's stick to the C style. Yeah, and we have to firstly print the player 1 and then ask for the input, and then the same thing for the player 2. So for sure we have to do it in the loop, but okay, so let's start with do while loop. And we want to store a string for the first player. And for the second player as well. And we want to do it outside the loop, because we want to assign it and then use it after the loop. So otherwise we won't be able to do that, because scope is limiting us. So let's start with first player word. I think there is a function called getString, but we can always check the manual. I think there's a link to it. Let me check. We have some notes here. And we can search for manual pages. Yeah, exactly. But we want to open it in the new tab. Okay. And then we can look for getString. Yeah, exactly. So we want to ask for the first player, so it would be player first, then nice space, let's go back here, check the Scrabble. So we have question mark and question with the exclamation mark, and we have a tie here. Let's replay it and look whether we want to include this space after player 1. Yeah, I think we want to include it. So that would be correct. And then we want to do the same thing for the second player. With the space. Okay, I think we are done with it. Actually, I'm not sure if we really want to do it in the loop, because getString itself is a loop under the hood, I suppose. I think we need to just rewrite this in our code in the array. But let me check. So we have those numbers. And we want to store them as an integers. So we can create an array with those numbers inside them. It's quite a tedious process, but we have to do that. Let's add some more commas. And now we have to figure out how to get the proper index, and I think I have an idea how to do that. I think that should work as well. We will see. But we need an actual array. How many? "26 letters. So we have 26 letters, and in order to get the index, we can use a letter or HR and just subtract this underlying integer because it's encoded in the ASCII, so it will work. We can subtract from our element, or rather from our string. So first player word, for example, the first letter. If it's an A, then the index would be 0. If it's a B, then the index would be 1. but we need to do a little trick with to uppercase because we want to normalize it. And I think it's actually included in the string .h, I suppose. Let me check the lecture notes. Yeah, there we go. We can check the string length, and we need to do that. And then we want to do this thing almost, but we are going to subtract, so it would be a bit different. So here we have an ASCII values chart. So if it's an A, if it's it is actually represented under the hood as 65. So if our letter is B, then 65 subtracted from B, it would be 1. So it would be matching the index of our array. So that's good, and actually we want to do that. So let's copy and paste it. So let's make an uppercase version. Just after assigning, or rather returning the value from the getString, we can call to uppercase function. It's like a function composition. So should work like that. Oh, it's actually to upper, not to uppercase. Okay, let it be. Then, okay, so now we normalized our input, and we want to do the same thing they did. So we want to loop over both strings and just calculate the result. Let's do that. And we want to store length of the first string and the second one in the variable. Probably compiler would optimize that anyway, but it's a good practice, so we want to follow good practices, right? Let's do that. Word length, string length, first player word, second player word length, second player word. Okay. Let's just do a helper function, which will return the int, and it will take two arguments. One would be string length, and the second one would be the string itself, so we could iterate over it. Let's do that, and actually we can even move it outside, because that's something that could be a constant, and we want to have an access to the array outside of the main function. So we had to do that. Okay. So let's quickly write a for loop. And don't forget about incrementing I. Okay. And now we can do our trick. So index would be word at I position minus upper A. And then we want to increase sum, which I forgot to declare here. Okay, so we have a sum, and we want to increase sum by the value, how much is it worth, and it is worth exactly the value that it's represented here. It's actually the position that we are going to calculate here. So for example, letter A would be worth 1 point, letter B would be worth 3 points, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we have a sum here. And let's return the sum. Okay, now we can calculate first player score and second one. So it would be total score, first player word length, and the string itself, first player word. And then we have a second player score variable, and we want to do the same thing. So second player word length, and there is a second player word. Okay, so now we have to check conditions, because we want to print something to the screen, but I don't remember right now what we had to do. So let's go back there. We have problem set to Scrabble. Okay, so we want to print player 1 wins, or player 2 wins, or tie. So we can do that here. If first player score is greater than second player score, then we want to print player 1 wins, I suppose. Yeah, with exclamation mark. If this is not the case, then we want to check if second player score is greater than first player score. Else, sorry, else we have a tie. So we don't want to forget about semicolons. Okay, let's write player 2 wins exclamation mark. And we should use double quotes. Too much JavaScript. Okay. I think we are in a pretty good spot and we can test our solution. Let's do that then. Let me compile it first. Probably I messed up something with the syntax itself. Let's make Scrabble. Okay, so we have here oh, that's interesting. Oh, we need to include C type then. Interesting. Let me check notes from the lecture. C type.h. Yeah. Yeah, we need to do exactly that. We want to include it, otherwise it wouldn't compile. Let's give it a shot. Okay, so now we have an issue with get string. Interesting. Why is that? So we have a string, get string, and to upper is, oh, it's converting single char, right? Yeah, it's converting single char, not the string. So we need to do that in our calculator, actually in our total score function. So we have to remove it. Okay, so let's do some spacing here, and we actually want to do it here instead. And now we should be able to run it. Or maybe not. Oh, it's a newbie mistake. We have to declare prototype at the top. Otherwise, the compiler won't know. And it will ask, what the hell are you talking about? total score, it's not built in into the C, so we have to declare it before using it, and it was explained in the lecture, actually in the first one. So let's make use of it. Okay, so it's compiling, so actually I think we can check whether we are correct or not. Let's check it. It was there. The problem set to Scrabble. And there we have the command. Oh yeah, looks like it's working. So now we can submit it. Let's submit it, but firstly let's check the styling of the code. So we don't want to go over and over and just submit our solution multiple times. Okay, so we can apply changes right away. It's nice. Yeah, it's really nice. Let's apply changes. There we go. Let's run the command again. Now it's working. And let's submit our problem. Yes, I do want to submit those files. Okay, let's check the result. Looks good, but consider adding more comments. Yeah, maybe, but it was a pretty simple program or problem to solve, so I don't think it's necessary to add more comments to this code. It's quite simple. Let's check test cases. Everything is correct. Okay. So I think that would be enough for today. Thanks for joining in or watching it later on. Not sure, but hopefully you learned something or you will find it a bit useful. Stay tuned, and probably somewhere in the future we are going to solve more issues from the CS50 course. And thanks for watching. Bye bye.